Secrets hidden in plain sight. Powers that move the world in the shadows. Questions no one dares to answer. Step beyond the Matrix. Subscribe.
Okay, hold on a second. Friday the 13th in March. The last Friday the 13th in March that we had was in 2020. And what did they do in 2020? We know we had mass hysteria, but they asked people to stay home, right? Are you aware that right now in Vietnam, Thailand, and Denmark, they're asking their citizens to stay home to save fuel? Is that strange? At first it's a recommendation, then it turns into something else. In 2 days, it's the Ides of March, which is the anniversary of Julius Caesar's assassination. Many people are wondering what's coming around the corner with World War III, the Strait of Hormuz, private credit issues, sleeper cells, BlackRock not letting investors get their money. People are wondering if energy lockdowns are around the corner. And the TSA is currently underfunded when there's talk of sleeper cells in the mainstream media. I don't know about you, but many people wonder if something strange is coming around the corner, and that vibe is definitely in the air. Now, I can tell you with all the craziness going on in the world today, the deceptions, the psyops, the stuff that's going on with the food and water supply, it has never been more important to be of sound mind and sound body. And right now, Chalk is giving away free $100 bags of the organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia, the chocolate powder, which is super detoxing and delicious. It also stimulates stem cell production. And if you combine that with the hot water purified Shilajit, you're getting some of the most potent superfoods in the natural world. Comment free below and check your DMs for details.
So I think I figured out what black holes really are. And I'm not even joking. You're going to want to stick around for this one. What I first need to do is build my case for the fact that we do in fact live underwater. Here's some evidence of it here with the lunar wave, which has been captured by many people multiple times. And yes, you might want to pass it off as camera interference or something like that. As the evidence compiles, you'll see it's water. Have you ever seen what stars and even planets look like through amateurs, telescopes, and P1000 cameras? They look an awful lot like pool lights shimmering in water. Here's a still frame from the star Polaris. Again, looks like a pool light shimmering in water. Here's the dog star Sirius. Again, a pool star shimmering in water. Not to mention what the oldest history book in the world says. And God said, let there be a firmament in the middle of the waters and let it divide the waters from the waters. You know, the firmament, the thing that separates the waters above from the waters below, which they love to tell us about in cartoons and movies. Here's a dome underwater in SpongeBob. And I'm sure we've all seen this Simpsons clip.
It's a long fly ball. The ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium. Oh, Simpson just broke this dream's reality wide open.
So that being said, like I said in the beginning, we live under water. Talks about it in the Bible. There's many evidences of that. And if you don't realize that, it's just because you still believe what you've always been told from the time you were a young little lad. Also, like you were told that stars were burning balls of gas quintillions of miles away, even though that's scientifically impossible to see light from quintillions of miles away. We'll get back to the main point. There's water above us. And even ancient Babylonian cultures knew this. Babylonian legend of creation. Tiamat was a huge dragon that was vanquished, and her body was cut in two. Half of it was used to make the firmament to part the waters above. And now back to black holes. I was just sitting poolside the other day, doing some research, not at all thinking about black holes. And then I noticed something. I noticed a little bit of a funnel starting to appear in the top of the pool surface. And then I looked at it closer and noticed what it was doing. Noticed especially what it was doing to light, how it was not letting light escape it. In fact, absorbing the light where it appeared there wasn't any. It made me think about the nonsensical story they tell us about black holes and how they're so strong in gravity that nothing can escape them, not even light. And well, then I looked up the video of what they say a black hole actually looks like, and I couldn't help but notice the exact similarities.
The faker you are, the bigger your circle will be. Because pretending is the fastest way to become popular in a world full of people terrified of the truth. When you're fake, you're flexible. You bend your personality to fit every room. You laugh at what you don't find funny. You agree with what you don't respect. You turn your soul into a costume and then wonder why you're surrounded by actors. Here's the ugly math. The more masks you wear, the more people clap. The realer you are, the quieter it gets. Because being fake is like social steroids. Quick growth, big circles, zero depth. You don't build connections, you build a crowd. And that's the law of social physics that nobody wants to admit, but everyone's experienced. If everybody likes you, it's because nobody actually knows you. You're known by many, but understood by none. And that's not a network, that's noise. So ask yourself, are you really good with people, or just really good at abandoning yourself in front of them? Because every time you choose fake to keep your circle big, you're sending yourself a message, and that message will eat you alive in private, no matter how loved you look in public.
They found his plane. Did you see that?
Plane?
Epstein's abandoned plane.
Where?
It's in like an airplane graveyard.
What the?
One of the things they found in the plane, similar to Diddy.
Oil?
No, not even oil.
Oh, what the?
Baby powder.
Baby powder.
Hella baby powder though, like a lot of baby
smokes.
powder. And then there's like a satellite phone. What people are calling for is the FBI or investigators to do like a DNA test there.
Okay.
Because they haven't. It's literally just in a graveyard site
Yeah,
for a
because
plane.
imagine how much DNA is in that plane. What if they've been doing in that plane?
Exactly, right?
But the Diddy stuff, did they put something in the oil? Did
Yeah,
they make,
they put I think it's
Okay,
called.
that
And
kind
then
of-
that's like that makes you in like slow.
Then probably, yeah, you can mix anything in powder, fam.
There's so many puzzle pieces that you just kind of have to build the picture together. So baby powder, okay, boom. These guys want to live forever. They eat. Boom. They want to live forever and look young. They look like vampires. Why are they so pale? Vampires, right?
Is this even real? I'm gonna show you guys something very, very weird. So of course we have BB talking about a couple things about how they're gonna make it to the return of their Messiah, just not next Thursday. And also that, you know, with Iran, shut up. You know, with Iran, they're going to be a global power, or they're about to be a global power now. But with that being said, a lot of weird things coming out of his mouth, right? A lot of people are speculating that possibly, not saying it's true, allegedly something possibly could have maybe happened. And a lot of people are saying it looks like artificial intelligence. You want to know something weird about that? I didn't just use one of these videos. I took 3 or 4 different videos, all different angles, everything about this whole thing, especially the news showing it. And every single one came back in the yellow. Like there's something artificial in there. Why wouldn't public government announcements be in the green? Like completely not AI, we know it's real. Pretty weird, right? By the way, do you see what Macaulay Culkin was wearing to the fashion show or the fashion week in Paris? Yeah, what's going on, right? Even the girl he's with has her nails painted blue, along with himself. Completely unrelated, what's your favorite movie? Is it Earth 2026? Let me know what you think below.
Did you know black foster children were used in AIDS drug testing between the 1990s and 2000s? And the thing is, this is just like 1% of all the bullshit they did to them, bro. Like, as fucked up as it is for me to say this, bro, like, how much can one ethnic group take, bro? And the thing is, they've been doing this bullshit to y'all for more than 400 years now. And it gets to a point, bro. Like these corporations and institutions and elites and government agencies, they don't give a fuck about y'all. They don't. They really don't. I told y'all, melanated people in general, black people, indigenous people, y'all were the first ones that they needed to test on before mass population control. Y'all were the first ones. Y'all were the first ones they had to test on and experiment on. So during the 1990s and early 2000s, hundreds of foster children, the vast majority of whom were black and Latino, were enrolled in government-funded AIDS drug trials across at least 7 U.S. states. These children, many of them infants, were given experimental antiretroviral medications whose safety for children was largely unknown at the time. The trials were funded by the National Institutes of Health and carried out by top research institutions, with New York City at the center of the controversy. Critically, most of these children were enrolled without the independent legal advocates required by federal law to protect their interests. Some children experienced serious side effects, including rashes, vomiting, and dangerous drops in white blood cell counts, and at least 10 died during the studies. And y'all still trust these people, right? All these scientific research motherfuckers, y'all still trust them with your lives and your health after all this bullshit that's getting exposed. And you know what's crazy? Black people and Latinos, like, we've been knew this, bro. We've known this for decades. But for the ones that don't know, that's okay. I'm about to tell y'all. While officials defended the trials as a desperate response to a pediatric AIDS crisis, Federal investigators ultimately confirmed that ethical and legal rules had been broken, leaving a deeply troubling legacy around the use of vulnerable children of color in medical experimentation. And I told you guys, black, melanated, Latino, and indigenous people, we were the first ones that they had to test on. We were the first ones they had to experiment, torture, terrorize, and just completely fuck over and legit cause us mental, psychological, physical, and spiritual warfare for centuries. And it's still happening to this day. But we were the first test dummies. You understand? Because they don't care, bro. Even if you're a Caucasian person watching this, it doesn't matter, because they don't care about you guys either. They had to experiment on the melanated people first before they got to y'all, before they got to the mass population of Earth. You know, because it's a human thing. They hate all humans, but they especially hate melanated people. And those were the first ones they had to test on. Whether you're black, indigenous, Latino, it doesn't matter. They had to experiment on any melanated person first. Black, brown, doesn't matter. Because they saw them as not human. They saw them as objects, as test dummies. They had to test and experiment on them first before essentially reaching mass population control. That's what it is, man. They don't care about any of us, but they especially hate melanated people because of deep self-hatred within themselves. Because melanated people possess what they don't possess, and they hate themselves for it. Because melanated people have the light of God within them, and they don't have that because they're fucking demons, and they hate themselves for that. So that's why they terrorize them and continue to terrorize them to this day. And you know what I think, bro? I think HIV and AIDS were just legit government psyops implanted into certain communities. That shit did not exist thousands to hundreds of years ago. Whoever gets mad at me for that, bro, it's a fucking fact, bro. That shit was implanted by the government in certain communities, bro. But y'all aren't ready for that conversation, bro. Y'all aren't ready for that conversation at all. You really aren't. It wasn't a thing before colonization. STDs were not a thing before colonization. They weren't. And if they were, you could cure it easily.
What are things that are just no-nos to you?
Fragrance is the first one that comes to mind. It's a blanket term protected by the FDA as a trade secret, so companies don't have to disclose what's in their fragrance, but it can contain up to 3,000 different ingredients. And the EPA actually did a study, and they found that 72% of what's in fragrance is hormone-disrupting phthalates. And so phthalates are what drives the scent deeper into your skin, and it also is it's what makes fragrance stick to you. So if you've ever been like in a house with Glade plugins or in a bathroom that's heavily scented, and then you leave and you still smell like that space, that's because of the phthalates. They're just getting in there, getting into your system.
There's one chemical that's reducing sperm counts more than any, and it's phthalates. And phthalates are in fragrances. They're in our colognes, they're in our perfumes, they're in our laundry detergents, they're in our air fresheners. It's the #1 toxin.
You can see what chemicals do to a plant, a natural flower. When you're spraying perfume on a leaf, it dies. Here's what happens in your own body. One, these chemicals, they are endocrine disruptors. So they're going to increase your risk of issues like breast cancer. Also, they're going to throw off your other hormones, leading to infertility. In fact, these chemicals have been linked in medical studies to low testosterone in men and imbalanced estrogen and progesterone in women. Also, it's going to be linked to allergic reactions and autoimmune disease. It disrupts the gut microbiome. It disrupts the lungs, affecting your immune system. If you want to be as healthy as possible and balance your hormones, you've got to get rid of the parabens, the phthalates, get the chemicals out of your house, stop using those fragrances.
Chanel No. 5 is made from the sweat of whipped male Abyssinian cats. I kid you not, and this even produced protests some years ago, animal rights groups, about how we should not be perfuming ourselves with the sweat of whipped male Abyssinian cats. Suddenly, along come synthetic perfumes, and the majority of them are made of synthetic versions of androgens. Perfume is made up of all sorts of breakdown products of male sweat. Isn't perfume supposed to smell good to guys? The vast majority of perfumes are not purchased by men. the vast majority are purchased by women. In other words, most of the marketing decisions about what to stick in your perfumes are being marketed for people who are going to decide if it's appealing or not, people who have lots of estrogen in their bloodstream rather than androgens. That is thought to be the explanation for how it is that most perfumes are derived from male pheromones.
90% of the nervous system is in the gut, and this is why all of these chemicals keeping you in fight or flight mode or survival mode. Stay away from air fresheners. They contain fragrance, and fragrance can be up to 10,000 different toxic synthetic chemicals. This will disrupt hormones and can potentially cause lung damage over time.
If God really loved us, why would he make us work, pay bills, pay a mortgage, pay a rent, work until we die? Do you know how many wars started because of religion? These people are really fighting each other because they believe their God is better than the other God. And why don't God stop none of this? If he really loves us, he will stop it. This video is about to get a little dark and a little deep. Stay with me. We should already know that evil people control the world. It's all about control. So why would they leave religious books for us to read so we can be uncontrolled? Is uncontrolled really a word? Let's go into the words. Every night we go to sleep, but the word sleep comes from the word spell. And when we wake up, people say good morning, but morning is really mourning, like you mourning someone death. But let's go back to the word wake. You know how spiritual people always say, wake up. Wake up. But did you know the word wake really means attending someone's funeral? So every time you say wake up, you are saying that that person is dead. Everything in this system represents death. We bust our ass to pay the rent bill, the mortgage bill, the phone bill, the food bill, water, lights. We have to set our alarm clock for school, for work. Look at the word timer. It's remit. When a timer go off, we remit. The word remit means send, pay, forgive debt. When we go to work all day for 40 hours, shit, some people even do overtime. We work for 5 days, then Saturday and Sunday, we can rest. And it's back to work on Monday, timer is remit. Look at the language. We are being trained to do the same shit all over again. We wake up every morning looking like this. Sometimes we roll over and hit the alarm clock just to get an extra 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes feel like 1 second. Remember, we are all energy, so we should never be tired. But the word tired means tried, because we are trying to fit in a corrupt system. That's why you're tired. So let me ask you this question again. If God really loved us, why are we suffering? We are not suffering because God don't love us. We are suffering because we think the system called the Matrix is our God.
Every conspiracy theory is now true.
Yeah, I know.
You know why? Because in Hillary's deposition, there's 2 major points in the deposition. Pizzagate, and Frazzle Drip. Now, we talked about this before.
Yep. Absolutely.
They flagged us.
They flagged us.
They flagged us.
TikTok flagged us left and right.
YouTube too.
Yeah. So that's a touchy subject. So if you look in the deposition, they ask her about Anthony Weiner's laptop. Now, do you guys know the story about Anthony Weiner?
I heard that all the people that reviewed that laptop ended up killing themselves.
Bingo. Why is it that all these cops that saw Anthony Weiner's content on his laptop Out of 12 of them, 9 of them are dead now. Within 6 weeks, if you look at the times that they unalive themselves, day by day, week by week, within 6 weeks, 9 of them are gone. How? So if you look at...
So the other 3, are they still alive? Are they present? Are they active?
They try to pass it off as, you know, the NYPD has a mental health crisis and the other guys are, you know, I haven't looked into them, but I find it pretty odd that 9 of those guys are gone now.
That's super odd.
Right? So there was a file in Anthony Weiner's laptop that said life insurance. And then you open that up and it was the Frazzle Drip content. As soon as they asked her about that, they blow up. Oh my God, yeah, I can't believe you guys are asking this and this and this and that, right? Then what happens? She goes off the record.
Oh, okay. I remember that part.
I want to answer, but yeah, cut off the cameras. I want to go off the record to answer this.
Can you do that?
Yeah. No answer is an answer. Okay? So you're saying, I don't want to answer this with these cameras. Cut them off, and then I can answer.
Wouldn't it be wild that Fort Huachuca is the largest drone training facility on Earth? It would also be kind of wild that Erica Kirk has just been appointed to the U.S. Air Force Academy Board of Visitors by Donald Trump. It would be even more wild that we're getting Iran drone attack warnings from the FBI all the way in California. Does anybody want to tell them how far this distance actually is? Now, I'm not saying the threat isn't real, but something else is going on behind the scenes. And I found this pretty interesting as well, where the Army is offering $5,000 for these 2 guys who stole 4 drones out of Fort Campbell. You mean to tell me that these 2 guys were casually walking around a military base with masks on and they're still at large? Got it. Now, going back to Fort Huachuca, I do find it pretty interesting that the Austin shooter who had an Iranian flag on his chest, his name was Googled a week before near Fort Huachuca. So the question is, are we looking at a false flag event? Because not only Erica Kirk has ties to Fort Huachuca, but also her mom, Lori Fronsvie, who specializes in EMPs, electromagnetic pulses. And here she is talking with Peter Pry, who worked for the CIA, talking about Iran, national security, and EMPs. Now, looking down the road, are we going to get more alerts like these where a pro-Iran hacker group has just claimed a cyber attack on the U.S. medical device maker Stryker? It's also important to note that they said this is the first Iran attack on American soil, so things might ramp up from here. And another question I have, did they plan this all along? Because Congress just passed the National Defense Authorization Act, which they stuck in a provision for the Selective Service System, which means that men from 18 to 26 automatically get registered for the federal database for the military. Now, this is not a draft, but it's a just-in-case list, so I will keep my eye on this. Now, I'm doing a bigger breakdown on my YouTube, The Maverick Approach, so make sure you guys hit that up, and let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
Breaking news, the BBC is reporting from Israel that the country is now in a partial lockdown, with empty streets due to fear of Iranian attacks, closed shops, and a situation that is becoming unbearable for the people. Iran just mass texted Israeli citizens this morning. The last U.S. radar systems in the region have been destroyed. Your government leaders are lying to you. Leave the country. Missiles are on their way. No shelter can provide safety. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard. And Israel's thinking now that Iran has warned them. Any deaths are not their responsibility. IRGC General Masoud Akhtari told Iranian News, and I quote, "Because we destroyed their radars, Trump and Netanyahu are trapped in a slaughterhouse now in the Persian Gulf." And I believe him. Sirens have not been going off in Israel. The Iron Dome is no longer working, and residents are not getting any bomb warnings. Yesterday, Iran warned they would no longer use small missiles. All missiles launched toward Israel will now carry a minimum of 110 warhead, and they are not lying. More than 10 missiles landed in the heart of Tel Aviv last night, destroying the Hawla Satellite Communication Center south of Tel Aviv. A couple more hit targets in the north and center of the occupied territories. 3 strategic missile drones struck American bases in the region and northern occupied Palestine. 2 other missiles targeted U.S. and Israeli military bases and logistical centers. And there were drone attacks on Israeli energy infrastructure in Haifa, including oil and gas refineries, plus fuel storages. I can go on about all the missiles they sent yesterday, but Iran is not backing off and is overwhelming Israel and the United States with these bombardments. Also, Iran has now begun laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz, according to CNN and CBS. So far, a few dozen mines have been laid, but there's a possibility that they could lay hundreds more in the coming days. Rumor has it they have thousands. This could send the price of oil skyrocketing and cause catastrophic consequences for the oil markets. President Trump just posted on his Truth Social response to these mines being laid out by Iran, and he says, if Iran has put out any mines in the Hormuz Strait and we have no reports of them doing so, we want them removed immediately. If for any reason mines were placed and they are not removed forthwith, the military consequences to Iran will be at a level never seen before. If, on the other hand, they remove what they have been placed, it will be a giant step in the right direction. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned for more updates.
When you look at things from a critical standpoint, you will know that there's a lot of strange things that's happening in the world right now, and a lot of people don't have the mental and spiritual fortitude to fathom what the fuck is going on. Because when you look around, you got the economic system shaking up, you got governments panicking, and then you got the wars escalating, and then you have the rise of artificial intelligence and technology. But the crazy thing is that history operates on the same circular historical pattern. Because right before every collapse, you get the same damn distractions, the same chaos and confusion every damn time. Stop calling people conspiracy theorists just because your motherfucking ass don't read. Because when it comes to the chosen ones, we're observing, we're preparing, and we're watching the timeline unfold because we understand the patterns intuitively. Pay attention to the signs, because when history goes through a spiritual metamorphosis, the chosen ones that was paying attention become the leaders of the next world. The ones that was castigated, scrutinized, the ones that was called weird and conspiracy theorists, those are going to be your leaders of the next world. So with that being said, salute to the chosen ones who have the ability to see the energetic shifts inside the simulation. Y'all the real commodity.
Hey bro, hold up. It's a virus spreading in California right now that nobody seems to be talking about. And they're saying there's no vaccine for it. The virus that I'm talking about is called HMPV. And they said the scariest part about this virus is that it looks like a regular cold at first. You get the coughs, you get congestion, you get a little fever, and you might have trouble breathing. But they said for kids and for older people or people that just don't have a good immune system, this can be one of the worst case scenarios you ever face with if you get it. And that's what makes this whole thing creepy, because this virus is spreading around, getting people sick, and people just brushing it off like it's nothing. They say there's no specific vaccine for this or no medicine that's going to give you a quick fix. You just gotta run with the punches. And the only reason people is paying attention to this now is because they said the cases is rising. And that's why stories like this hit different, because it's always the stuff nobody's really talking about that make people nervous. Now, I'm not saying panic. I'm just saying pay attention. Wash your hands. Be mindful of your surroundings. If you around somebody that's sick, stay away. Because the scariest things aren't always the loudest. Sometimes it's the virus you never really heard about until it really starts spreading around.
Did Erica Kirk work with Jeffrey Epstein? Let's get into it. Yesterday, Candace Owens announced that in 2015, Erica Kirk was seen taking multiple meetings at Next Model Management in New York, a modeling agency founded by Faith Cates, who had to step down in December due to her extensive ties with Jeffrey Epstein. This agency was known to procure a lot of girls from Eastern Europe, perhaps Romania, because in 2015, Erica Kirk was still working very closely with Romanian Angels Orphanage there. They housed young children and teenagers up to age 18. There was even an article written in a local Romanian newspaper in 2015, a positive article documenting gifts from Erica Kirk to the organization. And what's interesting is one of Epstein's closest associates, Jean-Luc Brunel, held a 25% stake in Next Model Management. And his job was leveraging European scouting background to help build the agency's international pipeline. He was known for scouting pageant girls to his modeling pipeline. In 2022, he was in jail awaiting trial on charges for trafficking girls for Epstein. And in this Guardian article, one of the victims says that he lured her into his bedroom on the pretext of showing her photos of a Miss Universe contestant whose career he had developed. It makes you wonder if he was connected with Miss Arizona. I wish we could ask him, but in 2022, he was found dead in his cell from committing suicide. With only 1 degree of separation from Jeffrey Epstein, you have to wonder what this pageant girl was really doing taking meetings at Next Model Management. As always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Yo, no way. There's no way. Who the hell is this? Who is this guy right here? Because people are saying that he was in Florida driving around, hat to the back, top down. Now, I don't know what's going on here, guys, but this guy looks very familiar. The fact that he's outside enjoying his life, guys, this better be AI. I've seen this everywhere. Who the? Bro, he got the shades on with the hat back with the top down. Who the? Ain't no denying this. Now, people are saying that it could be AI. I don't think that it is. But I know that something is going on in Florida, and I've been telling you guys about that place for a long time. Who's gonna stop him? Who's gonna stop him from enjoying the sunny day? Because that's the problem. People seen this and recorded it and let him go about his day. Because that's what you're supposed to do. This video is for entertainment purposes only. We all know that this is not him. Come on now. Yo, I don't know. Let me know. Florida, go get him. I'm out.
Now, everybody's talking about this motherfucking docuseries, The Dinosaurs, that's on Netflix. And I ain't gonna hold you. Anything with Morgan Freeman on that motherfucker narrating it, you know motherfuckers gonna watch it. I started watching the motherfucker and I was watching it and then I'm like, hold the fuck on, dog. How the fuck y'all know all this shit? It don't even make sense. It don't make sense. Over 200 and something million years of information. How y'all know that? How the fuck y'all know that? The math ain't mathing at all. You motherfuckers know every pattern. You know every dinosaur ancestor. You know every reptile ancestor. You know every motherfucking thing. How you get that information? Y'all didn't name about 4 or 5 different motherfucking resets. Y'all had it before Pangea. Y'all said it rained for millions of motherfucking years. All types of shit. How y'all know that? You motherfuckers had a time machine and went back? That's the only way. That's the only motherfucking way, dog. Because there's no fucking way y'all should know over 260 million years of information about some motherfucking dinosaurs when we don't even know what the fuck was going on before the existence of America. So I don't believe you motherfuckers. No, there's no fucking way, dog. This motherfucking Morgan Freeman, he talking about a dinosaur whole motherfucking day. What they did out the day. Yeah, this dinosaur right here got feathers on the motherfucker. It glide and shit. But there's another dinosaur. It fly. It swoop that motherfucker right on up. What, motherfucker? How you know that shit? Pangea breaking up, splitting up, big ass volcanoes and shit. The motherfucking water got hot and heated up the whole motherfucking planet and everything start dying. How the fuck you know that? How? And Steven Spielberg, boy, there's something up with you, boy. There's something up with you, and you from Ohio. There's something up with this shit. The math ain't mathing. I don't give a fuck what you say. But you can watch it though. It's entertaining as a motherfucker. But I'm just letting you know, the math ain't mathing.
Okay, so this is a huge red flag. Y'all not find it absolutely suspicious that within 3 months they have gunned down 2 major scientists in their home? First, we have Nuno Loureiro, who was the plasma physicist, ended up becoming an MIT professor and had a joint appointment with the Department of Nuclear Science and Engineering, ended up becoming the director for MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. Then he was given the Presidential Award for Young Careers, Young Scientists. This was given by Joe Biden in 2025, and then by December 2025, he was actually unalived in his home, found by his 12-year-old daughter. Absolutely insane. Now 3 months later, not even 3 months, you have Carl Grillmeyer, who, might I add, looked like he lived in the middle of nowhere, gunned down in his home in California at 6 o'clock in the morning. He was a Caltech astronomer, astrophysicist who had been associated with NASA since 1997, quite literally worked on some of the biggest NASA missions, focused on dark matter, focused on finding water on other planets, supposedly, even looked into meteors and their effects on the moon and things that were threatening to hit the earth, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, unalived, gunned down in his home. Now, they say these tragedies are definitely unrelated, but I feel like this is not just a coincidence, and we should be asking what the motives were, because there are so many unanswered questions when it comes to both cases. Loureiro was so young to be a director at MIT, and he was a scientist on the rise who was adamant about investing into young researchers who were also focused on the Department of Nuclear Energy. And on the other side, you had Grillmeyer, who literally helped in mapping the galaxy and looking for signs of life outside of our realm. So these two were intricate, and now all of a sudden they're gunned down, gone, and no information has come out whatsoever. And it just reminds me of Christopher Chapman, who was the CEO and founder of Telomere, who was unalived, and no stories have ever come out, no information has ever come out regarding what exactly caused him to pass when he was in the process of making the pills for longevity and age reversal. So much is happening in the science community, and I feel like it's just being shunned, and we just move on to the next chaotic situation. Something definitely feels off about this. What do y'all think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you don't know what I'm talking about, save this video, go look into it, come back, let me know what you think. For more interesting topics like this, grab your copy of 50 Forbidden Mysteries. Link is in the bio. Feel free to join the private group chat. Per usual, this is all alleged. I can't confirm or deny any information. Definitely implore you to do your research though. Like, follow, stay for some more tea.